Hello everyone and welcome back. Since we're talking about breathing, I hope that you went to get some breaths of fresh air to take a break. And now we're back. So in this video, we'll be continuing from where we left off. And we left off with the alveoli. So the alveoli are very important, and you will need to know the structure of the alveoli, the function of the alveoli, as well as how they are adapted for their function. Alright, so these three big things. So let's begin by looking at the structure of the alveoli by looking at this diagram here. So this diagram here shows three clusters of air sacs, three clusters of alveoli, and you also see the bronchiole that leads to the alveoli. So this is our bronchiole here. And you can imagine air, right, moving from our nasal passages all the way down and into our bronchioles, and then through the bronchioles into the sacs of alveoli. And then air will move out from the alveoli through the bronchioles and out through our nasal passages. So this is the movement of air. Now besides that, you will also observe that there are blood vessels, that the alveoli are surrounded by blood vessels, and in particular surrounded by blood capillaries. So remember in the previous chapter on transport in humans, we saw that blood from the heart, which is deoxygenated, will come to the lungs to pick up oxygen. So here is the blood vessel carrying deoxygenated blood from the heart, and you can see that it comes into the alveoli. Right? It comes into close association with the alveoli, and it is at the alveoli that the blood from the heart, which is deoxygenated, picks up oxygen. It picks up oxygen, and then it becomes oxygenated, and then the blood can return to the heart oxygenated. So what this tells us is that the alveoli are the site of gaseous exchange. They are the location where gases are exchanged. In particular, gases are exchanged between the blood and the spaces in the alveoli. Right, we'll see this more clearly on the next slide. Right, so substances, or in this case gases, like oxygen and carbon dioxide, are exchanged across the walls of the alveoli. Right, there's an exchange between the blood in the blood capillaries and the spaces inside the alveoli. Let's take a closer look at that. So here is a close-up diagram of one particular alveolus. Okay, so alveolus is the singular form of alveoli. And again, you see that the gases move in and out of the alveolus. So this is leading to the bronchioles. And there's gases moving into the alveolus and out of the alveolus. So it looks like this sac of air. Now the alveolus is made out of the alveolar wall, and you see the alveolar wall is just a single layer of cells, right? It is one cell thick. And on the inner side of the alveolus, there is a thin film of moisture that lines the wall here. And this thin film of moisture allows, for example, oxygen coming into the alveolus can dissolve into this thin film of moisture. And we'll see that a bit later. Now again, you can see that there is a close interaction or association between the blood capillaries and the alveolus. So here's a blood capillary, and here's blood coming from the heart, which is deoxygenated. So the blood comes in from the heart, it goes past the alveolus. There's some exchange of gases between the blood and the alveolus. Specifically, oxygen, right, will move from the alveolus into the blood capillaries, and carbon dioxide will move out from the blood capillaries into the alveolus to be removed from the body. So after this exchange occurs, the blood will return to the heart oxygenated. Right, so that's how the whole thing works, and this diagram also labels the capillary wall, and showing you that the capillary wall itself is also one cell thick. Now all these points are very important, and they'll come out again. We'll see them again in just a moment. And we now come to the question of how are the alveoli adapted for gas exchange. Now, to answer this question, I want you first to think back on this structure. This structure will give us some insights. And you may be wondering to yourself, Mr. Lim, this is not from the gas exchange system, this is from the, hopefully you remember, it's from the digestive system, right? This is our small intestine. And in particular, these are our intestinal villi, right? The villi are the location where nutrients are absorbed from the digestive system into the blood vessels. So the function of the villi is also absorption, or the exchange of substances, right? Substances are moving into the blood vessels. In a sense, it's quite similar to what's happening in the alveoli. And that's why we will see that there are some adaptations that the villi have in common with the alveoli. That's why I want you to stop at this point, pause, and think about it. What were the adaptations of the intestinal villi? How were they adapted for absorption? And there you will find the answer for how the alveoli are also adapted for gas exchange. So pause for a while and then I'll carry on in just a bit. So the first way that alveoli are adapted is that there are numerous alveoli. There are many of them, just like there was numerous villi. And that provides a large surface area for gas exchange. So many alveoli, much surface area. Now secondly, the alveoli have alveolar walls that are only 1 cell thick. And this allows for a very short distance of diffusion, which allows for very efficient movement of gases and exchange of gases. Let's look back on the diagram again. You can see here that I mentioned that oxygen moves from the alveolus to the blood capillaries. Now because this here, the alveolar wall is only 1 cell thick, right here, 1 cell thick. The gases only need to diffuse across 1 cell, and then of course 1 cell of the capillary wall. The capillary wall is also 1 cell thick, so that's a short diffusion distance. And that allows for very fast rate of diffusion of oxygen from the alveolus into the blood capillaries. Imagine if the alveolar wall was many cells thick and the capillary wall was many cells thick. Then the rate of gas exchange would be much slower. Now the third way that the alveoli are adapted is that they are richly supplied with blood capillaries. And also there is a continuous flow of blood which helps maintain a concentration gradient of oxygen and carbon dioxide between the blood and the alveolar spaces. So the alveolar spaces here normally have a very high concentration of oxygen, right? Because oxygen moves in from outside. And the blood capillaries here, normally the blood here that comes from the heart is deoxygenated. So there's a low concentration of oxygen here. So there's a concentration gradient and oxygen will move from the alveolar space into the blood. Now as soon as oxygen moves from the space, alveolar space, to the blood, this blood becomes oxygenated. If this blood doesn't move, then oxygen cannot keep diffusing because now oxygen is moved over and the concentrations are quite equal. But normally what happens then is that blood, because of the continuous flow of blood, as soon as this blood becomes oxygenated, it will be moved along back to the heart, right? It will flow back to the heart. And then more deoxygenated blood will flow to this point, and then oxygen can keep moving from the alveolar space to the blood. And once oxygen moves to the blood, this blood that becomes oxygenated will again be moved along to the heart. So there's a continuous flow of blood, and that maintains the concentration gradient between the blood and the alveolar space. Alright, finally, the alveoli are adapted in that the alveolar wall is coated with a thin film of water, which allows gases to dissolve into it. So just a quick look at our diagram. There is a thin film of moisture here, and any gases, for example oxygen, can dissolve into this thin film of moisture and then move across the alveolar wall, across the capillary wall into the blood. So this thin film of moisture is important for gases to dissolve inside it. Now I left this question here, where have we seen this before, this thin film of moisture? Think about it, it's also similar in another organism where there's gas exchange. And actually, you've seen it before in plants. That's the only hint I'm going to give you. Where's the thin film of moisture in plants? It's found somewhere in the leaf. Alright, so there is something similar that we've seen before in the leaf, where there's a thin film of moisture for gases to dissolve in. Alright, have a look back at the chapter if you've forgotten. So that's all for alveoli. Please learn the structure, function, and the adaptations of it. In the next video, we're going to talk a bit more about the absorption of oxygen and the removal of carbon dioxide from our lungs. Now this is going to be a bit heavy content-wise, so I'm really going to need you to read your textbook first. Read these 2 pages, try to get an understanding of it for yourself, and then come back to the video to check if you actually understood the textbook well. So how is oxygen absorbed in your lungs, and how is carbon dioxide removed from it?